Whoa, that was sudden. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Twins Off Daily Podcast. Already off to a fantastic start here. I am Sweet Lou Hennessy, coming to you live with our good friend Cody Schoenman. What's up, Cody?
Hey, how's it going? So I know Diamond centric. Like our initial first three teams were Twins, Cubs, and Brewers are like the first three teams we started to cover. I went to the Brewers Cubs game last night in Milwaukee. A lot of fun, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know we're a Twins podcast, but the Cubs are really good, man. I think they might be like a World Series top three favorite at this point. I know we don't talk about them ever, but I'm really impressed by the Cubs this year.
In one of my group chats with a bunch of my buddies, people are saying, "Are the Cubs America's team right now?" And they know that I, cover the Twins, and I'm a huge Twins fan. And so I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure the Minnesota Twins are America's team, especially just with how things are going, both for the team and for the country." So anyway,
Yeah. Red, white, and
Cody,
blue.
yeah, Cody, it's just Sweet Lou and all Cody today. All Gregg contacted us maybe an hour ago saying, "Oh, my flight got delayed an hour," and we're like, "Okay, we can hold off an hour." A little bit of time goes by, and he goes, "Oh, my flight got delayed another hour, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make it." So our walk-off question today, in Gregory's absence, is what other flight inconvenience do you wish upon Gregg on his journey home? He is in Boston right now. He followed the Minnesota Twins there and got to see a pretty exciting series. And now his flight has been delayed twice. What other flight inconvenience do you wish upon our friend Gregory? So Cody and I will try to think of an answer to that, and we will get back to you at the end of today's episode. But for right now, let's just go right into our Minnesota Twins action. We'll go right into the rapid recap. Okay, that was a little better with the fade. I fixed it there. Like, Gregg is the one who usually does the music and the technical controls for this show, so I am doing it in his stead. And as you can see, it went a lot better the second time around here. So, rapid recap. Let's talk about it. Minnesota Twins, they went 1-3 against the Cleveland Guardians, and then they just went 2-1 against the Boston Red Sox. And like I said, what was a pretty thrilling series. Honestly, Cody, a thrilling couple of series. I feel like since that 11-1 or 11-2 blowout that they started with in the Cleveland series, every single game has been close late in the game. You know what I mean? It's been pretty wire to wire. What are some of your just initial reactions of the Twins as they went 3-4 in this pretty pivotal week?
Yeah, I feel like this whole entire week, every game was like 1-1 in the seventh inning, and I was like, "They're gonna lose again. They're gonna lose again," except for obviously the blowout in the first game. But yeah, I mean, they pulled through at the end against Boston. I always and I feel like there's this kind of thing that happens with our recording schedule where the Twins will be like on like a really rough skid, and then they'll win like 2 games in a row. So then like the vibes on our podcast are more positive when they shouldn't be. When we should be more upset, or maybe it's just a me thing. I don't know, but it's always fun to record on a day where the team won. But yeah, so really fun series against Boston. You wish you could split go 2-2 with Cleveland. Didn't work out that way. You thought you were going to as well. Given that you won the first game in such convincing fashion,
right?
But things didn't go that way, so that was frustrating. But overall, it was a nice 3-4 stretch. Could have gone much worse. On the road against 2 good teams. I know you have some thoughts on how a 3-4 record looks compared to what else it could have been.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we were recording and just how different the optics are for this team right now. Like, don't get me wrong, they're still in a hole. They're still trying to dig themselves out of it, but how much better this 3-4 week feels versus what would have been 2-5 or like 1-6 and they got swept by Boston. Things could have looked drastically different for this club, I think, if that were to have happened. So it felt like a pretty defeated week for most of it, especially after 3 different heartbreakers against Cleveland after beating them in convincing fashion right out the gate. But to come out of it 3-4, it shows that they're still treading water to me. I don't think that's the case for a lot of people. I think a lot of folks right now are trying to tune out and trying to just be like, no, it's not happening this year. It's not happening. And it might not be. It certainly might not be. They've still got plenty to prove. Don't get me wrong. But the 3-4 road trip here shows that they're still paddling. I think it's, there's water in the boat right now, but they're still paddling. They're still afloat. And they just they got to dig themselves out of it.
Yeah, call me a homer, but like I still think this team is very like maybe not very good, but I think the Twins are a good team. I think they are an above 500 team, over the whole course of a 162 game season. And it just I don't know, the things need to turn, but the pitching is so good. Like teams with this good of pitching don't, lose like 90 games. It just doesn't happen throughout the whole entire course of a season. So things should turn. Luck bounces the other way. In the last two games in the Boston series, it feels like the Twins got, some luck on their side with the way the ball bounced or way things happened. So that was nice to see for once. But I think overall for the whole week, like the main thing that I keep going back to is you like 3-4 is nice, but it should have been 4-3. You should have really split that series against Cleveland. That's what I kind of am fixated on with this past week.
Especially because, like we were saying, fans right now are really hoping / expecting them to climb out of this hole. And if they do, it has to like start now, it seems like, for a lot of people. Maybe that's just my timeline, the comments that I'm seeing, some of the stuff that I'm reading here. But
I think it needs to happen soon. I mean, I honestly am at the point where I think Detroit might just win the Central. I think they are a very good team. But the AL wildcard is wide open. The Twins I think the Twins are like 3 games back from the third wildcard spot, and like Boston holds the third wildcard spot. So like you're not that far behind from the third one. Kansas City is right there too. Like there's teams like Tampa, Texas. Every single team is around like 500, if not below it. So Twins are in the mix. And obviously, like my original statement, obviously the Tigers, they haven't won the division yet, but they seem like a very good team. So that's going to be tough. But, Twins still have a lot of avenues to the playoffs, even though it feels like everything is bad right now.
Sure. Yeah, I think their Pythagorean record is probably somewhere around 500 right now, just based on how many runs they've scored versus how many they've allowed. That, I've always found a little bit of trouble just being like, oh, that's how good the team should be. Cause like obviously blowouts happen, and you know what I mean? That's a really simple way to look at things, but it does tell a better story of how this season has gone, in that a lot of their losses have been 1-run losses or 2-run losses that have been like super backbreaking heartbreakers. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that, they're any top dog in the league or anything like that. I think the record probably should be closer to 500, and it's okay for fans to be dissatisfied with that too. The reality that they are.
Yeah. And, beating Cleveland by 10 runs helps the run differential, which then adds on to the Pythagorean record.
Yep.
But, at the beginning of the season, there were games where like they had like a 95% chance to win, a 97% chance to win, and they ended up losing those games. So like, I mean, I know one example is when Griffin Jacks gave up the home run to Jordan Alvarez in the 9th inning. Like they should have won that game. There's multiple games like that. I think there was a couple in Kansas City too. So like
the first one in Atlanta had those vibes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like, I think, if this team is around 500 by mid-May, it's like the season's starting over there, right? Like, It's a fresh start. You're not even over the 100 game point. I mean, there's a lot of season left, and there's reason to be optimistic, I think, even though I'm always optimistic about the Twins. But
and with that said, and then we can probably move on a little bit here. But with that said, of course, now I lost it, but it'll come back.
I mean, we're coming up against 6 games against Baltimore. Baltimore's pitching is atrocious. It is, and like the Twins will be at home for 3 of those. If there's any team right now in the AL whose pitching you could tee off of, I honestly think Baltimore's pitching might be worse than Chicago's. Like at this point, like Chicago's starting rotation is pretty good, but overall, like if there's a team the Twins could hit off of, and the offense. The Twins' offense does get stagnant, but it's not bad overall. Like it can produce runs, so I think there is an opportunity here to score some runs and get some games in on a Baltimore team that seems like they're just on the verge of completely collapsing.
Yeah, that they might be saying the same thing about the Twins too. But hey, how about this? Because that's a really good point. I want us to put a pin in that and get talking about some of the games that are coming up here. But while we're still on the topic of the road trip that just ended, who impressed you the most out of these last 7 games? I'll give you who I thought impressed me the most, or who I was very pleased with, was Joan Duran. I think more and more he's regaining some of that luster that he had in the first couple seasons in the big leagues. I consider him a top 10 reliever in the league. I was looking at some of the stats, stuff under the hood from Inside Edge about, his strike throwing abilities. He's not getting guys to chase very often. I mean, we're starting to see it a little bit more in the last few games, but we're just seeing him beat guys in the zone so often because his stuff is really nasty. And he's showing that he's not just some one trick pony who only throws 102, 103, or at least used to throw 103, 104. But his splinker and his curveball and now that slider are turning into just like an awesome tool belt of weapons for him to use, as long as he it seems like stays focused and stays in these games. And he did that a few times this week that I thought he was awesome. It was a little bit of a tightrope walk, but let's be honest, that happens with like every single closer. Every team thinks that their closer walks a tightrope. So I liked what I saw from Jhoan Duran this week. How about you? Who caught your eye, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, on Duran too, I mean, his fastball's never been his best pitch. It's always been his curveball.
Sure.
And like, I know, going down from 104 to 101 does result in, hitters being able to hit the ball harder off you and put it in play more. Yeah. But I mean, if his curveball has gotten better, it almost like mitigates. Oh no, sorry.
Oh no.
Is my laundry timer. Sorry. But no, I mean, if his curveball is getting better, it almost mitigates the dip in velo. I mean, like if your off-speed pitches are better, and his splitter is, I feel like, better than it was 2 years ago as well, too. So if his off-speed's better, it mitigates the dip in velo. It makes him almost like equally as effective. So it's really nice to see him, rebound like that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm starting to get to the point where I'm more focused and more concerned on his like execution of that fastball more so than the just raw velocity, because he's shown that even when he's throwing it 100 and 101 versus 104, that is a concerning dip, no doubt, and might mean things to come. But like if he's able to locate that and then match that splinker and his curveball off of a better executed location wise, instead of just like a wasted pitch that's 103 miles per hour but it's up at the guy's eyebrows, you know what I mean? If it's a competitive pitch that's a few ticks lower and he can use that with matching up his other offerings, I care more about that in the long run.
Yeah, it's all about off speed. It's all about the breaking pitch and his off speed stuff. Because the reason why fans have always thought that Griffin Jax is better, maybe not always thought, but recently why fans have thought Griffin Jax is better is because his off speed and his breaking stuff played so well. I mean, his fastball was maybe topped out like 97, but his sweeper would hit 90, had incredible break on it. His changeup has always been like elite against lefties, especially how it kind of sinks away against lefties. It's been incredible. So if Duran can, I think he has developed an off-speed profile similar to Jax. There is reason to think like, okay, wow, the Twins really do have this like elite 8th, 9th inning duo. I mean, I feel like people, national and local, have always thought that, but like it really could be the case like right now with those two guys, because Jax has looked a lot better too recently as well.
You know who loves the look of Griffin Jackson, who we're going to talk about a little later, is Mr. Roger Clemens. He caught his eye. We saw that on the broadcast. So, Duran, like I said, he had a pretty good week. Anybody else catch your eye for the Twins?
Yeah, on the offensive side, I'm still impressed with Brooks Lee. Just how he's looked recently. He really looks like the guy who was, a top 10 pick, out of college, a guy who was a consensus, top 50 prospect. Like, last season, he was off to that really hot start. Injuries kind of took place and everything just kind of, went to rock bottom. Honestly, he had like a 70 WRC plus from both sides of the plate. But, I mean, I think he's really impressed. His left-handed swing looks great. He's hitting the ball hard. He's slashing the ball across the field. He's slashing the ball to all sides of the field, Lou. Have you heard that one?
Oh, man, that's how you know he's good. That's how you know he's good. No, I will say I do like what we've seen from him. I'm getting more and more comfortable with him as like almost a majority replacement or substitute for Willie Castro if we're thinking years ahead. Lee's not going to play. He's not going to play left field or center field, obviously, as much as some people would love to see it. But he can move all around the infield just like Willie does, and maybe we have enough outfield depth that we don't necessarily need one super utility guy that can play both. So I've liked seeing a switch hitter like Brooks Lee. I'd like to see a little bit more from the right side of the plate. We're still waiting for that to kind of show up, but shockingly, he's not the first switch hitter to have some stuff to figure out. So, I mean, he's looked good.
And luckily, he's only hitting 25% from the right side of the plate.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's with any switch hitter too.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, with Lee, yeah, he can play third, short, second. With Keishel, if he develops into a corner outfielder, the Twins could easily replace Castro's production in the near future. So that's nice. Also, our lovely beloved Byron Buxton has looked great recently. I love where he's at right now. His OPS is almost at like 800. He's, just dominating in the field. He looks incredible in center field. He looks healthy. He looks fast. I just this is what you want out of Byron Buxton. I love where he's at. I would love for this to continue for the whole season. We all know how, knock on wood, yes, but for right now, I think there really is something to be said about right now in this moment, just basking it in what Buxton is right now, and just how good he is and how healthy he is, and just how much fun it is to watch him play every day.
I'll say it. He's having an all-star season right now.
Yes.
If he is healthy and he is producing like this, I'm not saying he's going to win MVP or anything like that, but he is the prototype for a all-star representative for a bad team, which is what has been the case so far. So hopefully the Twins turn it around and he can be an all-star from a better team. But in the meantime, he's shown those flashy plays. He's still excellent in the outfield. He's moving really good on the base paths, and he's still hitting for some power. So like I said, I'll start the all-star campaign for him right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if he's playing as well as he did. Sorry, there's a loud car by my apartment. I don't know if he's playing as well as he did during his 2022 All-Star season. Do you know if he was producing? Yeah, I mean, he was incredible to begin that first half of that year.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's performing very close to it. The power might not be there as well as it was that year, but we're getting a primetime Buxton, and it's really fun to see that. Another guy who's been rock solid this year is Ty France, and honestly Harrison Bader, the new guys. They've been very good. I feel like they've just been consistent the whole entire year. I really think those are great offseason moves, and I keep hope. I mean, I hope that the team can reap the benefits of those guys the rest of the year, because those have been proven to be really solid offseason additions.
You know what? I'm hoping you're right. You're totally right. They've been really good, good little investments that have provided great value for the team. I hope that I see them playing for the Twins in August and September, and that the team is kind of righted the ship a little bit, or at least are in a more competitive spot in the standings. Because I don't love the idea of seeing those two guys traded, which I mean is totally justifiable if the tailspin continues or they end up being sellers. Those are easy guys that they can swing at the deadline for hopefully some prospects. But I hope we're not talking about it come July.
Same with Danny Coulomb too. Same thing. Yeah, it's just I want him to stay with the Twins, in September and August, and see him pitching well.
Yeah, no doubt. All three of those guys have been really fun to watch. I think they mentioned that on Gleeman and the Geek recently, that it's not that those guys haven't been the problem necessarily. You know what I mean? Would you have liked them to go out and spend some money on a high end free agent? Yeah, sure, why not? But in the meantime, those guys have produced just fine. It's kind of the other parts of the foundation of this team that are crumbling.
And those are spots that they weren't going to invest in, even if they had money.
Yeah. Sure.
It's interesting. Yeah, guys like Julian Larnick. I mean, he's been fine, but those are guys you weren't really going to replace on the market.
Sure. Okay, so here's where they stand right now. Twins are 15-20 at this point. I believe they're 6-4 in their last 10, something like that. They've been somewhere. They've been competitive in their last 10, and that's how I like to kind of base my feelings off the team for the most part, is the last 10 games. I think that's a good way to look at it, for the last 10 games and the next 10 games. So why don't we talk about the next set that are coming up here? They have a homestand against orange opponents. They have the Baltimore Orioles for 3 games starting on Tuesday, and then they bring in the San Francisco Giants for 3 games starting on Friday. At this point, I'm more afraid of the Giants than the Orioles. The Giants are part of that just absolute, crazy, party that's over there on the West Side, in the NL West, with 4 just uber competitive teams. So, but then again, Baltimore, they're hungry to get their season back on track just as much, if not more, than the Twins are right now. They could be looking at this on the calendar and being like, okay, Minnesota, this is where we're going to start doing our work. we'll see what happens if the Twins can punch back. But what are you looking forward to seeing in that time against those two opponents?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's going to be kind of a big contrast in pitching. So like I'm interested to see how the Twins offense performs against Baltimore's pitching, which is towards the bottom of the league, and then San Francisco's pitching, which is towards the top of the league.
Sure.
Like I don't know who exactly is slated, but like San Francisco has Logan Webb, Robbie Ray.
They have Justin Verlander, who always pitches the Twins super well.
Landon Roop, Jordan Hicks. They have a lot of interesting guys. So I mean, San Francisco's been really good. Before the season started, I picked them to represent the NL in the World Series.
Wow.
And like because their pitching and their bullpens it's really impressive, and their offense, it's not that great, but and Willy Adames has struggled a lot to begin the year, but they still are a good team. The pitching can come a lot of that, so that'll be a very interesting series. But I think the goal, given that the fact that Twins are 5 games back right now, you want to win both of these series. I think. Sure. I think going 2-3 against Baltimore and 2-3 against San Fran is probably the ideal outcome for this upcoming set.
Okay, so like I said, things could have looked a lot differently had the Twins gotten swept by the Red Sox and came back, 1-5 on the road trip.
Yeah.
Are you sounding the alarms if they go 1-5 on this homestand? 1-5 probably gets you there. What about 2-4? Does that scare you? What happens at that point?
Yeah, 2-4 scares me too. I think they don't have the leeway to kind of fumble or step over themselves. I mean, a big reason as to why you want to win games early in the year is so you can build cushion for when struggles do come later on. Like, for example, like the Dodgers, they got off to such a hot start, and I think they're 20-11 or something like that. And now they have some cushion to lose some games because everybody's hurt basically in Los Angeles. So like the Twins just aren't in a spot right now to where they have the cushion necessary to take a 2-4 set. Like they need to at minimum split 3-3. You want them to go 4-2. Like they need to build up some ground. They need to get to 500. Like the goal right now should be to get to 500, and you can't do that going 2-4 over 6-game sets.
It's tougher. It gets pretty tough. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I don't know if there's necessarily too much to learn from these two series, but I've said that a lot. But we'll see what happens. I think the next off day is in a week. I think they just have these two series and then they go back on the road. Okay. Well, anything else we want to get to with a rapid recap or beginning topic of how things are going right now? Anything that has caught your eye? How about minor leaguers? Any minor leaguers that have caught your eye recently?
Honestly, no, I can't think of on the top of
I know. I feel like every week I ask this, and Greg's always like Carson McCusker, and obviously, and now I feel like he's getting more attention from the fan base. I think people are starting to realize, oh man, he's had a fantastic month. We had a free 40-man roster spot a week ago, and they decided to claim Cody Clemens. I think a lot of folks were thinking, hey, maybe we're going to call up McCusker just to give a little shot in the arm here. I would still love to see it. We don't need to spend too much time on him because, like I said, I think Gregg has mentioned him in the last 4 or 5 episodes. The pitching has still looked solid down there. It looks like at the AAA level for sure. My eye is still on Brandon Winokur down in AA, their shortstop / outfielder. I think he started out a little slow, but he's just so toolsy and just I don't know, some of the raw stuff that he does on the field. Maybe it's even just the games that I watch. It's one of those things where whenever I watch, he makes an awesome play or he just has an absolute cannon of an arm or something. My eye's still on Brandon Winokur and his star to keep shining. He needs to figure some things out, I think, with his swing, but I'm really excited for him. I don't know, I just updated my Twins Daily top 20 prospect ranking, and I think I borrowed your line of thinking and I put Luke Keeschel ahead of Emmanuel Rodriguez, which they're both hurt right now. It's not super, but Cody, you were ahead of the curve on that one, and I think you might be right on that. Maybe it's just my too early, star projection for Keeschel after what we saw in that week, which was super exciting. But did you submit your own top 20 rankings? Any surprises for you or anything like that? Anything that would differentiate your list from others, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I put it on Blue Sky, my top 10 list. Nobody liked it, but that's fine. Um, yeah. So do you want me to read it off in order? Like,
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So number one, unsurprisingly, is Walker Jenkins. I think that's everybody's number one. It should be everybody's number one. Would be nice to get updates about his health, but we can't get those. Two, I had Keisho. Three, I had Rodriguez. I think it could be some recency bias there. I mean, you never want to fall into that with prospects, but I do genuinely think Keisho is a better player than Rodriguez. And that's why I've been saying that for a while, but I know there is some recency bias there considering how good he looked in the majors, but I do have Keisho above Rodriguez. Four, I have Charlie Soto. I think he's the best pitching prospect in the system.
Yep.
Five, Andrew Morris. He struggled a little bit, but he's so close to the majors, and I think he could impact the team this year. So I think there is something to be said there with him. Six, I have Keelan Culpepper, and seven, I have Kyle DeBarge, group of last year's draft picks. Both of those guys really impressive. DeBarge has been really good to begin the year. He's really impressed, but I think I think Culpepper could be a genuine MLB shortstop in the future, so that's why I have him a little bit ahead of DeBarge. Eight, I have Connor Prelip. I'm excited about him again as a starting pitching prospect. He's looked, pretty good in Wichita. He has struggled at times, but he's done well. 9, Billy Amick. I think he could be a major league corner infielder. And then 10, Dasan Hills, who is probably the biggest riser. And I think he is somebody kind of in a similar vein as Charlie Soto, could jump up Twins prospect ranking list and could become like the top pitching prospect in the org by the end of the year too. So that's my top 10. It's just to recap it: Jenkins, Keisho, Rodriguez, Soto, Morris, Culpepper, DeBarge, Prelip, Amick, and Hill are my top 10.
Nice. Okay. That sounds pretty good. I think that's pretty similar to mine. I think I had a lot of those guys in the top 10 as well. A lot of those quick risers, like you said, especially DeBarge, Culpepper, Amick. They were both, I think all three of those guys were on my top 10 as well. Okay. Well, hopefully we get to start seeing some of this minor league depth come into the big leagues for some excitement. But I know that in Gregg's absence, we are actually going to jump into a new favorite segment, and that is Cody's Gripes. Okay, Cody always has something grinding his gears. This is his segment to get it off his chest. We talked about this before the episode, Cody. What do you got for us this time for your gripes?
I want to say I really had to think of something to complain about. But this is Cody Gripes about Cody. And it's not spelled the way you might think it might be spelled. It's C-O-D-Y, Gripes about K-O-D-Y. And the reason is, so it was the second game of the Boston series, and I feel like the whole entire narrative from the broadcast group for that whole entire game was the fact that Cody Clemens was playing his first game in Boston with his dad, Roger, in attendance. And, okay, it's cool, it's fine. But, I feel like they were acting like this is a player who just got promoted from the minors, and he's like 22.
Sure.
And this is his first time. It's like, say if 7 years ago when Bo Bichette was brought up, like if he was playing in front of Dante, even though he wouldn't have done that because Dante's not a good person, but even if he was playing in front of his dad, or like if Vladdy Jr. is playing in front of Vladdy Sr.
Yes.
And it was a big deal like that, right? But this is Cody Clemens' 600th plate appearance. He's been in the majors for a while.
Yeah.
And he's not a good major leaguer. He has a WRC plus of below 75 every single season he's been in the majors with Philadelphia and Detroit. So they're acting like it's this young kid. Everybody's super excited. It's this legend's, son. When in reality, this is like a marginal major leaguer who's 27. He arguably shouldn't even be in the big leagues right now. And it's cool that he hit a home run while his dad was in attendance. But does Boston even like Roger Clemens? I don't even know what the vibe is around that. And again,
I think they do. I think they like him quite a bit.
I know a lot of people don't. I mean, yeah. I'm pretty impartial to Roger. I'm sure he's celebrated amongst Yankees fans and Blue Jays fans too. I don't really know what the vibe is around him with the teams, but I don't know. The tone felt off for him being a guy with his 600th plate appearance hitting a home run in Boston. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I did, I thought it was a cool moment. Deserved a nod for sure. I think people don't realize how much broadcasters rely on tidbits and like fun
Yes.
information like that to
They're
keep
not
this whole
critiquing
thing
Corey or
moving.
Denard's
You know what I
fans.
mean? But I think it definitely deserved a nod. Cool moment, especially because they talked to Roger the night before. Real quick, when you were talking about Cody and you're like, oh, marginal player, I thought you were talking about his dad. I was like, he was far beyond the margins there.
I recognize Roger's incredible. I mean, and there was a joke too where it's like, oh, Roger had like 4,000 strikeouts and Cody had 2.
Yeah.
So they're like the top father-son strikeout duo, which is funny.
Yeah.
And like, it's nothing against Corey or Denard or anybody with that.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. I have a hard time getting riled up about Cody Clemens. Like,
yeah, maybe the gripe came more from kind of the national spotlight. I feel like I got like 3 different notifications on my phone from MLB.com or the apps and different things about it happening. It's like, okay, it's pretty cool, but I don't need it to interrupt my day necessarily. Okay,
the best thing that happened from that moment is the fact that the Twins went up 3-1. That was
okay.
The best thing that came out of that moment.
That was, and you know what? They desperately needed that. This is that's the thing too. Like that would have been a cool enough moment as it is because this team just has not hit enough home runs to have a sustainable offense. Clearly, okay, solid gripe. I'll give it to you. We'll see what Gregg thinks about it when he's back next week. I'm guessing. But how about this? For right now, why don't we boogie on down and we are going to do the closer. Okay, so since there's just 2 of us here today, Cody, why don't we do another couple of rounds of 20 questions? So I'm going to think of a random twin that Cody, I believe, has heard of. And Cody has 20 questions to try to figure out who I'm thinking of. So Cody, the floor is yours. I'm ready for you.
Okay. All right. Question number 1. Pitcher?
Pitcher, question mark? Yes, he is a pitcher.
Okay. Was he a reliever?
I don't believe so. I'm going to pull up reference here just to help me out, but he would not be known as a reliever. Nope.
Okay. Was he ever considered a Twins ace?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
I would say so.
Is he right-handed?
Yes.
Okay. Ricky Nolasco?
No, but that is a good guess. That is your 5th question, by the way.
Okay. So my 6th question, is it Vance Worley?
It is not Vance Worley, but I like these one-offs. First of all, Gregg started his 20 questions round asking, is it Miguel Sano? Okay, so let's see. That was your 7th question? Oh, no, that was your 6th. This is your 7th.
Okay. Was their jersey number in the 60s?
In the 60s. Checking. No, he never had a jersey that was in the 60s.
Okay. All right. Right-handed. Was he known? Did he play for a different team before the Twins?
Yes, he did. Yep. He made his debut for another team.
Okay. Was his debut with a team in the AL?
No.
Okay. I'm so lost right now. I'm trying to.
You're doing good. That was just your 9th question. You got plenty of time.
Did he pitch in Target Field?
Yes. Good question.
Okay, ace for the Twins. Pitch in Target Field. Carl Pavano?
No, good guess though. I was thinking about using him at some point.
Okay. Was Paul Molitor's manager?
Paul Molitor was never his manager.
Okay, so he's a guardy guy. Okay, Target Field. Ace. Okay. Right-handed. Ace. Not Carl Pavano. God, the screams. Okay.
Okay. Ace. Now I'm kind of double thinking it. At one point, he was their best starter. Okay. Does that count?
Okay. Phil Hughes. No, it's not Phil Hughes.
Was that a question? I'm counting it. No, it was not Phil Hughes.
Okay. Did he pitch for the Tigers?
He never pitched for the Tigers in the major leagues.
Okay. In the major leagues.
I don't think ever.
Okay, so was he? No, I'm not gonna ask that. Did he pitch for an NL team?
He did pitch for a National League team at one point. Okay. Hold up, I'm counting your questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was 15.
Okay, 16. Is it Mike Pelfrey?
It is not Mike Pelfrey. This is fun though. You're giving me some fodder to use later down the road for this game. Gosh. That was your 16th question. You got 4 more. So if you're looking at a pitcher that pitched for the Twins at Target Field under Ron Gardenhire at some point and was their best pitcher for an unspecified amount of time.
Did this pitcher go into broadcasting?
I do not believe so. Nope. Okay. Oh my gosh. 3 more questions for you.
Did this pitcher play in a playoff game for the Twins?
Let's see. I do not believe so. No, did not play for a playoff team.
This is like an era of Twins baseball that I don't remember very well, but I kind of do.
I think you're not alone in that. He pitched in a pretty rough stretch.
Okay, so I'm on. This is gonna be my 19th question, right?
Correct. You have 2 more.
Okay. Did he pitch in the seasons 2012 and 2013 for the Twins?
2012, yes. 2013, yes.
Okay.
Last one. This is your moonshot, baby.
Okay. The only person I can think from that era is Carl Pavano. Okay. On a limb, I will go with. I can't think of anybody, man. John Roush.
John Roush. That's a fun one. It is not John Roush. You were so close, Cody. This is one of the tougher ones we've ever done. The pitcher that you were trying to name was Sam DiDuno.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a tough pull. He pitched for the Twins for 3 years. Like I said, probably their best pitcher in I'm just looking up some of his totals here. 2013, he was probably their best pitcher with a 3.83 ERA. So nothing terribly impressive or anything like that, but he was probably their top arm at that point. Sam DiDuno. So you did not get it. I think that do you think you ever would have gotten that one?
I actually did think of Sam DiDuno, so I probably would have him eventually. Yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard the episode last time when we did 20 questions and Gregg had one for me and I had to tap out. I got to question like 16 or 17. I was like, I'm out of ideas. I should have just started naming random Twins, honestly. But
yeah, I think I got like 6 random Twins in there. So
yeah. Okay. What do you think? Sam DiDuno, is that harder than who I had, which was Sugar Shane Robinson?
I have no idea what Sugar Shane Robinson is.
So. Okay. All right. He was a very, fringe player for probably those same teams, probably around like 2015, 2016. He was like a 4th outfielder, didn't get a ton of playing time. Anyway, well, that was fun. Nice little game of 20 questions. That's all we have for today's episode. Do you have, we have one more thing, and it's everybody's favorite segment.
Yeah.
Away with it. It is time for everybody's favorite segment. I don't have the visual for it, unfortunately, but is Chris Paddack still a Twin? And on today, May 4th, he is.
Yes, and he
confirmed,
and he pitched, and he did pretty well, and he's done pretty well. So it's nice to have him as a Twin right now.
Yeah, we'll take him. I think since that first start, he's had a string of 6 starts and an ERA in the mid 3s. You would gladly take that. So
for 7.5 mil.
Yeah, Chris Paddack, we will gladly take that for you from right now. But beyond that, Cody, I think we should probably start saying goodbye. Is there anything you want to plug?
Well, we got to talk about Gregg's trip.
Oh, yes, we do. Okay, the walk-off question. Thank you for reminding us of that. Today's walk-off question. So Gregg is not on today's episode because he said his flight got delayed twice. So our question is, what other inconvenience do you hope occurs for Gregg between now and when he gets home? What do you think, Cody? Any inconvenience that you're going to wish upon him?
Well, there's plenty of jokes you can make about a flight from Boston that I'm not going to make for
That's one strike, Cody. Don't let it happen again.
for ethical reasons.
Yeah.
But there's a story that Gregg shared where when he came to the winter meltdown, he was in the Minneapolis airport and he saw Carlos Correa walk by. And he made eye contact with Correa, and he was like eating Qdoba, and it was like very awkward because he was like, I knew who Correa was, and Correa knew that I knew who he was, but I didn't say anything, so I just stared at him, and he like glanced back at me. So my hope is that the Twins, go through the Boston airport, and he gets to see Correa again, and the same exact experience happens where he's mid Qdoba, and he sees Carlos Correa, and Carlos Correa recognizes him this time, and they know that they know each other, but no words are spoke between the two.
I would love if when it eventually happens, and who knows if it will, that Gregg reveals his face to the world, that he instantly gets recognized by Carlos Correa. That would be fun. That would be a fun development. I don't know if I have too much of a inconvenience that I'm going to wish upon old Gregg, our buddy. But he is, without giving too much away about him, as he's described on our show multiple times, he's a very tall gentleman. I imagine it's not super fun to fly for him, but I hope he's stuck between two just massive people and he's in the middle seat and he's just squished between them. I hope the only movie that he wants to watch is like, really, I don't know, racy or something. And he feels really awkward about watching it in front of other people. Let's see. I hope one of his earbuds stop working, but just one of them. I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't get ticked off by a crying baby, so I'm not going to wish that upon him or the baby. Let's be honest. The baby doesn't deserve that.
I hope he has to pee really bad. And he
can't yeah.
Really, yeah.
And like there's always a line or something like that. Okay. Real quick side tangent. My hardest flight experience was when I was coming home from studying abroad, and I had a 19-hour flight from Johannesburg, South Africa, back to the Twin Cities. Yeah, that was rough, and we were all the way in the back row. And there was bathrooms behind us, and it's such a long flight that there was constantly just people hovering by our seats waiting to use the restroom. So like I couldn't rest very easily or anything like that. So I'm going to wish that happens to Gregg. I hope for some reason he has a 20-hour flight
from Boston
and he has to sit. Yeah. Where's he flying to? Like Dubai or something. Yeah. Oh, Gregg, we safe travels. We hope to see you again soon, buddy. If not, we will tell your story. But Cody, if that's it for you, that's it for me, baby. And I think we should bid adieu. Thank you very much for listening to the Twins Off Daily podcast. Please like our episodes. Please leave us a review. Tell your friends. Get people involved. We would love to keep this going. We've had a steady increase in listenership, and we'd like to keep that rolling. So please share our product. We would love it, and we would be eternally grateful. But for Cody and myself, stay sweet, everybody.